Hello, folks, and welcome back to Sound Design for Relaxation, Meditation, and Sleep. I'm your host, Dr. Lawrence W. Moore of the Wayfarer Project. This is a companion series for my sound experiments for relaxation, meditation, and sleep, whereby I create sound experiences that aid in all three of those wonderful endeavors. In the sound design series, I basically show you behind the scenes how I make what I make. For those who are interested in sound design, might show you some tips, some things that people that also use VCV Rack might be able to learn from. The free Rack modeling software for synthesis that anyone can use. And you can check out my Learn Synthesis for VCV Rack series on this channel. And you can also, take advantage of other videos I have in helping you getting up and running in VCV Rack. But if you're just a listener, someone who enjoys my series, this is where I explain what I do and what I call the different elements in it, so you can let me know what things are more effective for you or less effective for you, and give me your feedback. After the release of this number 13, I am hoping to hear about what people think of the relaxing rain sound, and then also how that compares to the ocean waves that I was using before. I also did a different approach to the binaural beating. In the most recent episode in this series, Sound Design for RMS, I basically showed you how to make the relaxing rain sound. In this one, I'm going to put an addendum of some changes I made to that rain sound. So between episode 7 and this episode 8 of this series, you can see how I make my relaxing rain sounds. And I did add a little bit of rumbling thunder to it and controls for intensifying or detensifying the rain to make it sound a little bit more natural, like a rainstorm that is not the same throughout. So what else? One more thing before I continue. Well, two more things. One thing is thank you once again for those people who've been following the series, like Nameless One, Amelia Bedelia. Thank you for your feedback, and folks, please use that comment section to give me your feedback. And Milan Kudzik, I'm going to leave that tag down in the description so people could find Milan's music. It's very beautiful stuff. You should check it out. And lastly, I also wanted to mention that once again, I do know that YouTube is putting ads on some of these experiences. You won't hear any below 100 views, but above 100 views, you might get them, and you might get, like, what shocked me is like one kind of like 10 minutes in, 15 minutes in. I cannot control this, folks. I need to reach 1,000 subscribers and also 4,000 hours of watch time before I can do that. I'm proceeding very well on the watch time, and your enjoyment of my videos really helps with that. Thank you. The subscriber count, though, is going up real slow, and basically, if you can hit that like button or leave a comment in the comment section, all those things help the algorithm get my videos disseminated across YouTube so people find me. And also use that comment section to let me know what you think of these sounds and give me some feedback on it. Additionally, if you could share me on social media a little bit, it would really help me out. I want to get to that 1,000 before the end of this year if I can. So then I can get all those ads out of the middle of these sound experiences, because they don't really, well, they're not going to be effective either. You know, if somebody's in the middle of a meditation and a Temu ad comes on, really? You think YouTube that's an effective place to put an ad? No, not in this kind of content. Well, anyway, there's other YouTubers out there that do the same sort of thing differently, but they make materials for assisting people with sleep and relaxation and so forth. And they just covet it when they get to that 1,000 and they can actually control these ads. So anyway, I thank you for all the help that you can provide, and I'll basically end it right there and begin the episode. Okay, so here we are. I'm just going to give you the lay of the land here now that we're zoomed out, so you see what each section is. Bottom section is the mix section. Throughout the series, I've been describing this, and in earlier episodes, I describe it in more detail, hooking things up and how they're hooked up and all that. Anyone that's interested in learning VCV Rack or how I make these things in detail, I do recommend seeing this series from the beginning. Also, if you're new to VCV Rack or synthesis in general, you might want to see my series, Learn Synthesis with VCV Rack. It'll help get you up and running. And then, seeing previous episodes in this series, you'll get a detailed explanation of some of these sections I reuse, like this mix section right here that has compressors, parametric equalizer, 16-channel mixer from MindMeld, and the expansion for that mixer that allows you to send aux to effects. And the effects are a reverb from Surge XT. It's Reverb 2. And then this is a reverb that is from Rack 2 Pro, VCV Rack 2 Pro. If you want a free equivalent, just use two of these Reverb 2s. And in the previous episode, I do use a different preset. And so you can see, basically the effect I was trying for. And one of the presets I used in a previous episode should do well for you. But I changed it up in this one because I like this one just a little bit better. And but I'll get into the details of those changes as we go. But anyway, here we are. Yeah, mix section at the bottom. Noise here for making the rain sound. The rain sound is this whole layer here. This second row from the bottom. And this is my binaural beating section. And then up here is my musical section where I can play the melodies and harmonies that I do in this this sound experience. Okay, so let me zoom in a little bit here so we can see stuff in more detail. One difference from the previous episode, I did set this up to be pre-fader effects. I made it post-fader and changed it to that. Basically, if you go down to the aux sends here, you can right-click on it, go to aux sends, and select pre-fader, which is actually the default pre-fader and pre-mute and solo buttons down here. So that basically no, I am sorry. Let me correct that. Post-fader is what you want. That's what I set it to for this one. I changed it from the last episode where I was pre-fader. Now I'm post-fader. So basically, the reverb is affected by the amount that my faders are set to, in addition to the amount that the sends are sending. I basically have all my rain sound on group 1 here, so it all gets sent en masse to this effect here, the Surge XT Reverb 2 module, and it's set to, now that's Echo, which I found to be a great preset. I didn't even change any parameters. It was sounding great for this rain. And so we get to hear a little bit of that now, but everything is working post-fader. So the fader and the mute and solo does affect it. I found it to be a little bit more effective in the sound design that I was doing for this one. Okay. So, hearing this episode, it's probably best on headphones, or at least good quality speakers, especially if you want to hear some of the subtleties. But let me at least show some of the changes I made to the sound. Basically, I'm going to mute these tracks. And so what we're hearing right now is basically the white noise aspect that is meant to be the distant, steady rainfall. Up here, I have white noise going into two Surge XT VCFs using a notch filter here. And then the notch filter's center frequency, as well as its resonance, which is its width of the notch, is being modulated. Previously, in episode 7, I was doing that with a Chaos generator. I've decided to go with LFOs. So I'm using the quad LFO module from Surge XT. A lot of Surge XT modules in this one. And each of these is on 0.07 hertz sine waves, basically modulating up and down in frequency as well as the width of the notch, making it wider and narrower. But just so that doesn't become too regular, I do have these four LFOs going in as modulators of these four. So, for example, this one is modulating the frequency of this module's VCF. This one is modulating the resonance of the VCF. This one's modulating the frequency of this VCF, and this one is modulating the resonance of this. This is like the left aspect. This is like the right aspect of the stereo mix. I will get to the point that here I do have four LFOs also varying the actual panning of these left and right channels. But the left and right channels are right here. Okay? So basically I have these moving at roughly 0.07 hertz, but I'm putting variation in it. 0.03 hertz here, varying this one here. 0.04 hertz varying this one here, 0.03 hertz varying this one here, and so on. And then I like to flip-flop the 0.03 and 0.04 just so on other sounds or in the panning, it's not exactly in time with one another. It sounds a little more natural that way. These are slow modulation speeds. And for those of you who've seen how I do my OSHA waves, I use the same values there. It's just with the Surge XT modules, you can have four LFOs in one module. So these are giving a slight variation on this, and this. And the white noise is going through. I am not altering the white noise with this EQ at all. As you see, I'm not changing it at all. I think I did a little bit in the previous episode, but I felt in this one it was sounding better without altering it. Okay? Then, a blank panel signifying another section here. But before that section, I have four LFOs, and you can see the values right here. 0.04 or 0.03 modulating a 0.07. Basically two LFOs modulating two LFOs right here. And then their outputs are going into the I called it attenuator last time. It's attenuverter from Bifaco, another free module. And basically, here's the input, here's the output. This allows me to limit the range that these are modulating pan. So basically the pan ends up being from center to out on left and right. And these don't just alternate. Right now it may look like they alternate left, right, exactly. They're not exact. because the 0.03 and 0.04 here are different rates for modulating the rate of modulation, so to speak. So it doesn't sound like a regular exact pattern. Sounds more natural that way. All right, and then the next part of the sound, I'll mute those, is the drops that I showed last time, but once again, I'm no longer using a chaos generator. Basically, I have pink noise coming in here and red noise here modulating it. You can see the red cable for the audio signal and the yellow cable for the CD. The red noise is modulating the pink noise, which is giving me that crunchy rumbling sound. And you can visualize them here. Basically, we're getting this triangular shape of the spectrum peaking here, but it's fluctuating. And it's fluctuating so, haphazardly. That's the red noise doing that. But to focus in on that frequency area, I have two VCFs once again from Surge XT. And I'm using the same approach as I used with the previous section for the distant steady rain sound. Basically a set of 0.3s and 0.4s modulating the 0.03 and 0.04 rates of LFOs modulating the 0.07 rates of modulation LFOs here that are once again altering the frequency and the resonance. And so this triangle, if you look closely, is modulating a little bit left and right in frequency slightly, and its resonance is modulating a bit too, like basically how wide or narrow this band is, but just slightly. It does add a bit of detail to the sound, but it is very slight. And once again, it is panning back and forth, and using the ranges of the attenuverter to do so. And so you can see the panning down here, the yellow indication. And then in addition to that, I have a higher pitch of a similar thing, for the higher pitch glistening sound of drops hitting harder surfaces. And basically it's the same setup. The only difference is the frequency center around which this modulates is higher in frequency. And the actual noise coming in here is not pink noise and red noise modulating it. Now it's blue noise being modulated by violet noise. All of it coming from this noise producing module from VCV. But this sounds less crunchy. It is higher pitched, but also it sounds less crunchy because of the violet noise is smoother than the red noise for the modulation. Okay, and so panning once again done the same way. And then I have an additional noise here that I'll be showing in a moment. This is the macro oscillator from Audible Instruments. I pretty much detuned it to A432 just for the heck of it. That setting is negative 0.3734 on the coarse tuning knob. And basically what I did is put it there for magical purposes. And then I have this oscillator going into these two left and right perspective of the of a notch filter again. And it's being modulated the same way with the two sets of quad LFOs and being panned the same way. It just has a different quality to it. When we turn it up, you'll hear it. It gives us kind of like a bit of a rumble, like thunder, distant thunder, and just rumble, no lightning strikes. So when I mix it all together, you hear that rumble, And during the course of the experience, I do move these up and down very gradually, not as quickly as I am now, just so the rumble comes in and out. Basically, you let yourself get absorbed by the sound, and the rumble comes in and out in the distance. You can really hear the subtleties in the sound with headphones. And because of the binaural beating, you want to use headphones for the sound experience, because those are what help you get into a delta wave state. Or shall I say, a low theta upper delta wave state. There. And I can actually change the levels of these gradually to kind of like gradually intensify or depensify the rain. And then their aux send over here, where the whole rain is coming out with the thunder, can be gradually adjusted. And during the rain-only portions of the experience, I am basically going back between these faders and this knob here, and in real time, just making it a realistic experience of the rain intensifying and depensifying. Now, up here we have the binaural beating. I'm going to describe them a little bit. Let's attenuate the rain a little. But basically the binaural beating is no longer just sine tones. I used the modern VCO from Surge XT to kind of make a verbana wave. Yeah, I went ancient aliens on you. So basically, yeah, I pitched them to the center frequencies that I want. I'm using 108, which means this is 106 hertz, and this is 110 hertz. So you perceive a center frequency of 108 hertz, and it is going to be beating between the left and right headphones at a rate of 4 cycles per second, which is upper delta wave brain state and lower theta wave brain state. And this is going through a VCF, which actually is best explained when you hear it. So you hear the woo, 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 woo. That is the delta wave pulse, or low theta wave pulse. And then you can hear a modulation in its spectrum as this, almost like a bell curve, a little bit broader than that, is being modulated up and down at the rates I explained before. 0.07 being modulated by 0.03 or 0.04. So this is one pair here, 106 and 110 hertz, basically a center frequency of 108. And then here I have a center frequency of 216, an octave above in a harmonic relationship. So in order to get 216 as a center frequency and 4 cycles per second beating, it's 214 on this oscillator and 218 on this one. Then up here to get 324, it's 322 and 326, but this would be E324 hertz in the 432 hertz tuning system. And then I put in A432 as well. So those oscillators are 430 and 434 for the left and right, respectively. So you get this kind of magical sound. With the modulation in their frequency, I think it makes the tones a little bit more magical in effect and less clinical, of just like a sine tone being shot at your left ear and a sine tone being shot at your right ear. I don't know, I think I was able to make my binaural beats before sound pleasant, but I think this is a whole new level, and this allows for a little more musicality, because the same approach to the sound design of these tones is also up here next to the MIDI module, where the same approach, same filtering is being used, except I have here an envelope at the end, the envelope, so that basically my beating tones here, well, yeah, they're not really beating. I didn't set the frequencies apart for beating, but they are being modulated a little bit differently here. Or actually, yeah, I do think I did detune these. Let me check. Because otherwise they wouldn't be different on the left side or the right side. Q56.A7, which is the middle C in A432 tuning, and same here. Okay, so now I have the same signal coming out left and right, going into left and right here. No, it would be the same as if I had one oscillator and they were mono. It's just because there's stereo inputs on these Surge XT modules, I somehow went stereo with it. Interesting. But anyway, here we have the spectrum being modulated with the VCF, and here we have an ADSR. I like these stereo ADSRs from Surge XT. So anyway, that allows me to play some musical stuff, which I will do right now. Like to fade it in. I do have a slow attack on the envelope, but I like to fade it in. Do you feel the power of the Vermana wave? I should actually probably call it that in the title. Okay, so, yeah, but I do have sections where I don't have the beating. Like, basically after Rain on its own for a while, I do come in with the music, the ambient music here, using the Vermana wave. Giving almost like a didgeridoo type of drone. and I add melody to it. Okay, but in the sound experience itself, it is far more delicate. I'm just kind of playing it as an example right now, so you know which elements are which. So that way you can leave comments and let me know what elements have worked best for you. So that's towards the beginning that I do that music for a while. Then it goes to just rain, and then the binaural beats come in. And I found that when the binaural beats come in, and they come in much more gradually, one at a time. I was very gradual, very delicate in this recording. This is far too quick here. But I just wanted to point out, when they came in, I felt like I could do some music on top of that. So you get the effect of binaural beating, but your imagination gets to play a little bit. And so in the beginning, the music was like in C major, and then here it pulled it to A minor using, you know, A432 tuning of an A, E, A. So what I did towards the end, I was feeling the need for a C, a middle C, 256.87 hertz, and I basically put in these modules while recording the thing. Of course, you wouldn't notice it because it's black screen, but while some binaural beats are going and you're zoned out, I'm basically adding a couple of modules, and I added one more to the array here. Here, let me get these tuned so that if you're hearing it on headphones, which is the best way to hear this series as well as the experiences. Here is the middle C being added. That so I basically added that on the fly. Yeah, my description now isn't gonna, or my examples now are not gonna do it justice. You really need to go through the 90-minute experience, because everything is very slow, gradual, and a lot of attention is paid to detail. So anyway, let me know what you think of the different elements in this one, and please do hear the number 13, sound experiment number 13 for relaxation, meditation, and sleep. I abbreviate it SERMS 013. It's in a playlist right next to this one. Let me know what you think of that one. How do you like the rain compared to the ocean waves? Do you like the new approach to the binaural beating? How about the music in it? And one thing you can do, you can still listen to some of those earlier sound experiments that now do have ads. If you're not using it to sleep or to meditate, you can listen through and listen to some of what I'm doing so that you can give me feedback on it, so you can compare this to some of the earlier ones and let me know what your preferences were between them. You can actively listen to these and provide feedback. That would be another way of doing it. But in any case, thank you for joining me. Please hit that like button. I gotta be a YouTuber about it. And let me know in the comment section what you think. But until next time, take care and stay free.